Well, first of all, it can be completely virtual. What happens? It is one thing that it can be completely virtual. The other is that it be a quality education. So, if it is of quality and it takes care of the practices in those studies that demand it, and it's careful with the evaluation system, those issues will be solved. In the same question, it says that what does this is education imply in practical case? Well, I don't understand very well what it means, but I think that what it should demand from itself is to attend the parameters on evaluation, and I think that education at least can be high quality. The second, I will answer more quickly. I am asked, in Ecuador there are universities that don't care about the quality of education because their interests are political, economic, or of a different kind. What is your recommendation in this regard? Let me tell you, one thing is that they're not interested in quality, but another thing is that if they don't offer quality, even if it's politically incorrect, my recommendation would be to close them. Dr. Villarroel, the question is, what are the main problem areas of distance education vis-a-vis campus or on-campus education, and how can you improve the quality of it? Well, somewhat similar to the question that was made to Dr. Garcia. I want to attempt to answer it taking a different shade. Education is a single entity, and distance education and on-campus education are different expressions, different ways of carrying out education. There's no incompatibility between them. Perhaps one of the problems that could present about or regarding distance education is the lack of capacity of the person who has been educated, and also the high dropout rate that is sometimes caused by that feeling of loneliness. I think that we will have to make a case by case analysis and be pragmatic. Sometimes distant education cannot be applied chemically pure. There must be an element of presence, but by all means it is difficult to give recipes. The important thing is that the education planner must bear in mind all those factors, and looking for quality, devise a program that will be useful for the student, that minimizes his or her loneliness, and that gives him or her the possibility of interacting with other peers, with the professor himself or herself, and to acquire an education that will be useful and as much as possible. Carmen Gloria. But the question is, in order to have access to these Ecuadorian networks, we can only do it through the UTPL or OE websites. Well, as I said in my presentation, in the case of UTPL in particular, the university belongs to the Ecuadorian network as at the end, therefore they're part of the global community. For you, it is transparent, it's completely transparent, but the possibility that you have of having a YouTube channel and the possibility that it is transmitted at good speed and people be able to listen and see is because you're part of the advanced network. And as I already told you, I would like to emphasize this message, connection is a physical telecommunications infrastructure. The important thing is to be able to add on to the global community with projects. You as a university have the possibility of being part of research project, and you can integrate yourselves to research in general. Now, when we speak about integration, I just reviewed very quickly the scientific repository area. an area where Clara is working in integration with IOHE in order to provide access and visibility to the Latin American community, be able to share a framework of agreements and conventions, and to make ourselves visible to the outside. When we see the reports on research about the Latin American process, practically we are not there. So here we have an example of integration where the community can be part of it, where two institutions are working in this case, such as Clara, and through Clara, the universities, UTPL and IOHE, in an attempt to move forward towards a more competitive research and in this way contribute to the development of our region. I have two questions for Jose Luis Romero. The first one has to do with the national scope, and the second one in the scope of IOHE. If we depart from the idea that you must depart from a consensus, what is your reading the fact that we don't have representatives from other Ecuadorian universities that are working with the distance education processes? Well, my answer, and I'm going to expand a little bit, not only to universities that work with distance education, we don't have the presence either of the organizations that have to do with distance education in the country, and there are two reasons. One, because they have not learned that Loja exists in this country, and this is a geographical issue, and I'm not going to go more in depth to the mindset of the people who live in Quito and Guayaquil and that live with the mindset of centralization of our countries as an axioma. And therefore, there is also the University del Sur, and we are the south of the south. So the periphery of the center is the south, and then we're in the southern part of Ecuador and Latin America. Therefore, this is the geographical they have not learned about. The other, what I have to say as a comment is that their absence is symptomatic, and like everything else that we do, just like when we speak or when we don't and we express ourselves, they are expressing, they are not here, but they're expressing themselves. Nobody knows the consequences of that expression. The other one has to do with the Inter-American Organization or higher studies. Why don't you deal with the area of knowledge when you speak about distance education in the administrative, and the administrative was underlined what happens with the portion of administration at university level, what are the implications of knowledge management and the dimension of the administration of the management of university. Well, the question is quite ample. If I understood correctly, perhaps the most nuclear point, from what I understand, is the need of knowledge management as one of the tools in university management. I spoke in my slide and said that there is a digital gap in universities between those users and non-users of the new technologies, but also between the users and their institutions. And in fact, many of the institutions are still years of light away from understanding these implications, and therefore they act independently. For us, IOHE, what we're attempting to do is to bring this element together. So let me support this by an evidence, as Jose Luis would say. In a meeting in a place that I don't want to remember the name of the place, approximately 40 principals of different universities of different countries. Well, 90% of them didn't have the slightest idea of Web 2.0. In almost any element whatsoever. Therefore, some evidence, and therefore, they need to do a lot of work. Now, the same thing that happens in the pedagogical arena, part of that work comes from you themselves. They have always played a role at the university level, but there they have an important role. Before, we used to speak about the idea of having a teacher in the classroom that had a mysterious book under his bed and then re- imparted it in crumbles to his students. Now, the student could have read all of that. Maybe he didn't pay attention to what he was reading. He could have read an article about that and made his own or her own interpretation. So he might force his own university by simply being a user and being dynamic in what he or she is doing. And that determines force in the university. And as IOHE, what we do naturally, we're working along this line in campus and also in connection with another program of IOHE, which is ISLU. And we have a new IGLU that is interrelated with, among other things, knowledge management in the administration of universities. And we have courses for deans, for high level authorities under methodologies that are not the traditional course, which was important in Latin America, but it took a month or more outside the university with the other university, and that is not possible. So, with this new technology and speaking about them, we're attempting to solve this issue. Very well. With this answer, we conclude this roundtable, and we invite you very cordially to be part of the workshops that will be carried out this afternoon. We want to thank all the presenters and all the audience, and thank all of you.